I've just been talking about accepting my disease and not battling. You know, that idea that we have to battle our diseases just doesn't make sense to me anymore. You know,
Yeah.
You have to kind of just love yourselves totally, like they were your children. You know? And that's been huge, because then I can talk about it open without shame. Like, there was a part of me that I noticed that I felt ashamed that I had a disease. You know, there was a part of me has failed. Because and all this law of attraction actually became really a negative thing in my life. And I kind of have a different view on it now. I kind of feel like maybe 80% is law of attraction, but I think there's a part of chaos that we cannot control, and it's about how we respond to that, you know. Because I felt myself, I was constantly going into blame about the disease, blame. It's because you're not eating right, it's because you're so stressed, you know, and then if you could just be an amazing woman. If you could just be everything, you wouldn't be sick, you know? You just wouldn't be, and it's your fault, or whatever. And then once I stopped doing that, oh my God, like, my body's amazing. Look at what it's doing. You know, I've no gallbladder, I've no tonsils, I've no thyroid, and here I am, living an absolutely full life, you know? So.
I think that's such a feminine topic in a way. I mean, it obviously also affects men, but I think it's feminine in a sort of non-gender way, like this kind of being with the cycles of life, you know, being with becoming and the dying, like being with decay as well as birth, and that is part of life, you know. That is, and I think this idea that somehow we're all meant to be these amazingly fit, completely athletic, like vibrant, always functional, glossy people. That's like, I mean, there's people who actually are just like that, and I've actually met them. Like, there's people whose constitutions are amazing and they're taking amazing care of their health, and they just don't have that journey. Like, it's not part of their soul lesson, you know, that journey with disease and pain. But like, I've been through similar, like, really deep journeys with my body as well. And I think that if we're on the path of being like a vehicle for the feminine, which you also are, I think that maybe those things happen because of that as well. Like, I don't think it's just chaos. I also feel like in my body, I have a lot of pain in my body because when my nervous system freaks out, and because of that, I had to learn to be like super self-caring and super self-nourishing and super good boundaries. And because I had to learn that for myself, I learned how to also teach that in a much better way to other people, you know. Because it's coming from really deep inside myself, and not from like reading books about it or you know, doing some kind of training about it, but actually like really deep personal experience.
And that's something that Clarissa Pinkola Estes also says about the creative process. In her book, The Creative Fire, which is a great audiobook. I really recommend listening to it. It was recommended to me by Jaguar, and it's amazing.
Have you already listened to it?
Yeah. And she
that
says,
was quick.
Yeah, no, I was like immediately on that. But she talks about the fact that, I've forgotten, what were we saying? In the creative process.
The pain or cycles?
Oh, yeah, that people think that, like, if you want to do something authentically and kind of correctly or creatively, that the best thing to do would be to read a book about how to do that, or take a class on how to do that. But that's not necessarily trusting that the most inventive, magical, healing, powerful solutions can come from your own imagination. I mean, everything that exists has been invented by someone, so she really talks a lot about trusting that you don't need to receive things to be original. And another thing that I'm thinking about is that, like, at the very beginning of setting out to be a doula, I had a really idealistic view of birth because I felt like I understood on a physiological level what was needed for somebody to be able to have like a healthy, normal birth. And I wanted to protect the space so that that would happen like as many times as possible. And very, very quickly I had to realize that everybody who's birthing is going to have a different birth, and that the best thing I could do was accept what was happening and to trust that I really don't actually know what's right for their journey. And that's something that you've like phrased to me. I didn't really have it consciously reflected, but it's something you say a lot, like, how could I ever know what journey your soul or body needs to go on? So just having like a trust of that in birth, I think has helped me understand people who, for instance, like really actually do need epidural, or end up giving birth surgically, and just accepting that like sometimes you can see we have those interventions for a reason because some people will need them to come out safely, and kind of just leaving space for that I think is also very feminine, accepting the balance.
Yeah. Yeah. How do you feel about that?
I think to be able to see our healing as well as our illnesses or diseases or whatever as gifts, and I don't say that lightly because I've been in really, really dark places, and after my first son was born, his birth was just the most violent, crazy 2 hours of my life, and it took a long time for me to accept actually that was a gift. And I would have that reflected back to me by friends because, like you were saying there, when you've been through something and somebody else is going through a similar thing, it's so much easier to just pick it apart and to help them to open into that space of being able to talk safely about it. And now, absolutely, like it's been a gift, And I used to think, when people would talk about kind of trauma and you think about traumatic events, you think about it being a long thing that causes the trauma. But I also learned, actually no, it can happen, like, it was actually really only 20 minutes of the birth that caused the trauma that lasted for years, And in that picking apart then, that like, learning about healing, actually, that's kind of when it started, And it felt like the second time around, then when I got pregnant, I was terrified to get pregnant for a long time because if I didn't want to go through that again. Fully letting go actually of that first experience enabled then the second one. And I think you were out of the room when I said, I think actually on a cellular level for my second birth, because it was kind of the opposite. It was the opposite of the first birth. It was an unassisted home delivery that happened in 20 minutes, just me and my husband and my friend. And I remember feeling at that moment like that something was happening inside my body. It was like almost like the tearing that had happened before was closing up, and that was a miracle. To me that was like, oh my God, we can actually physically change our bodies, So for me then going through this process, initially when I was diagnosed, I was thinking, I'll just do the same thing. And having to accept, no, it's not the same as, that was given, that was almost given to me, it felt, to help other women as well, to be able to say confidently to other women who are having VBACs, like vaginal birth after cesarean or after traumatic birth, be able to say to them and hold their hands and go, it can happen, it has happened. I felt like something from the Bible. Miracles do happen, But then with the Hashimoto's, it's been a totally different journey. Not every healing journey, even within one body, can be different. So I'm still going through the phases of accepting, Still going through, am I going to be? And really, I had a major crisis just last year. I was working with the shaman from Mongolia who was able to see the medicine that I'm taking and said, there's something in your body that's not right. And he said, you're taking something. This is the second time that I've met him. You're taking something that is damaging your heart. And this is one of the symptoms that I didn't want to look at. And it scared me. Like, I was wiped for a few weeks before I started to go, okay, I need to go back into this healing journey. And it's hard, it's really, really hard. That's where the spider came and the painting. But now I'm spontaneously just went into remission since that point.